Great. Good morning. Welcome to Strategic Tools for Small Businesses Navigating COVID-19. This event is hosted by the Adirondack North Country Association Center for Pandemic Response. We provide free and low-cost technical services to small businesses as they recover from COVID-19's economic impact and plan for the future. My name is Olivia Dwyer. My pronouns are she, her, and I am your ANCA CPR program navigator. We would like to acknowledge that ANCA conducts its work and its staff and many board members live on the traditional lands of Haudenosaunee and Abenaki people. The Haudenosaunee Confederacy predates the creation of both the United States and New York State. These lands were not ceded, and we recognize the history of dispossession. We acknowledge the enduring relationship that Haudenosaunee and Abenaki people have with this land, past, present, and future. So our goal today is to introduce you to ANCA CPR's technical service providers and let you hear directly from them exactly what they provide, how they work with you, and how their services can help your business. A few people have been in the chat already, and I encourage everyone to add your questions and comments there. My colleague Kim and a few other folks from ANCA are on here, and they'll let me know as questions and comments pop up so that we can get those to our presenters at the end of the session. With that, let me stop sharing my screen. Those are our workshops coming up, which we will talk about later. And we will introduce our presenters and get started. So first up, I'd like to introduce Rob Brown with the Cooperative Development Institute. Rob is the Director of Business Ownership Solutions at the Cooperative Development Institute, the USDA designated Cooperative Business Development Center for the Northeast. Rob is an expert in transitioning businesses to employee ownership and trains owners and managers in strategies to increase employee participation and engagement. Thank you for being here, Rob. I'd also like to introduce Stephanie Donaldson with the Adirondack Economic Development Corporation. Stephanie joined the AEDC as a business counselor in 2016. In this role, she draws on her management experience in higher education, manufacturing, and hospitality to help entrepreneurs establish or grow their businesses in the North Country. Thank you for being here, Stephanie. Aviva Gold leads marketing and communications at CITEC Business Solutions. She has a background in media production, graphic design, management, and development. She is known for forging comprehensive communication strategies that focus on goals and results. Good morning, Aviva.
Hey, everybody.
Jennifer McCluskey's move to the North Country in August 2008 coincided with a career transition from therapist to running her own photography business. Jennifer started working as a business advisor with the SUNY Canton Small Business Development Center in July 2014, and she enjoys sharing the skills she learned as a small business owner to help others start and grow their businesses. And I appreciate you all making the time to be here and work with our clients. Great, so first up, all of our clients have been through an enrollment interview. They've all seen a individualized resilience plan describing the services we offer and that our partners can provide to them. I'd like for each of you just to speak to that specific service so that people can get a better idea of how it's defined. Aviva, could you start us off by talking about strategic planning and what that is?
Sure. So strategic planning is basically an organizational or management activity that's used to set priorities for your organization. So if it's just you doing it, this is a one-person show, it's kind of a little bit different than if you have a little bit bigger of a business or more than one person. It's generally a group activity so that everyone in your organization is on the same page. It articulates kind of who you are, where you want to go, steps you want to take to get there, how you'll know when you get there, how you know when you've achieved your goals, kind of thing. And it helps you make sure that you don't veer off into activities that don't help you move your organization in the direction that you want to go. So it helps kind of focus the movement and growth of your organization. Basically, that's what strategic planning is. There are several tools involved in strategic planning, a mission statement, vision statement, those kinds of things, but also a SWOT analysis that helps you understand your resources and some of the challenges that you face in a sort of a visual way. So that helps you to prioritize and really focus your priorities. That's the deal.
Excellent. Thank you, Aviva. And Rob, could you please tell us about participatory management?
Yeah, for our program, Business Ownership Solutions, our core goal is helping business owners transition their businesses to some form of employee ownership. Usually so there's a bunch of interrelated services that we provide. Aside from that business transition assistance, there's exit planning, education, and consulting. And for the businesses that we're working most directly with or over a longer period of time, we do a lot of training programs around what we call participatory management. So management practices that are really focused on employee education, employee engagement in the business, and with the belief that better engaged and better educated employees will be more loyal employees, they'll be more productive employees and help improve productivity and profitability of the business at large. It also has a big hand in employee recruitment and retention. Some of the best recruiters for any business are their own employees. So, employees who talk highly about their job and enjoy their job and speak highly of the business they work at are going to be some of your best recruiters of future employees. So it really can impact the business in a lot of ways, both operationally, but also in terms of employee retention and recruitment. And by that, we're getting into a lot of topics such as communication in the workplace, communication systems and interpersonal communication, personnel policies that lift people up or filter people out effectively and efficiently and legally, and giving and receiving feedback. So a lot of it does base itself around human skills, human development skills, not so much the business, the business sector, but really about how to work well with people.
Excellent. Thank you, Rob. Great. And then we'll go to Jennifer. Jennifer, could you please tell us about the Sbdc and the services you offer?
So at the SUNY Canton Small Business Development Center, we offer free and confidential services for anyone who is either ongoing in business, or if someone is at the startup stage of just kind of figuring out where they want to be, or is already ready to start up and just needs an EIN and a sales tax certificate. A big chunk of what we do is provide business planning services. So if a business owner is looking to expand, buy a building, look into new services, we can help them get that plan down on paper that they can send to the bank or whoever they need for funding. A lot of business owners really know what they're doing, but trying to get it down on paper is something that we help them through and help them through the process. We also help with projections. So if we look at the business owner's past records and look to kind of what their goals are in the future and help spreadsheet that out and look at a budget for that. So business planning is a big part of our services. We also offer all sorts of one-on-one options for questions. So developing a marketing plan, developing any sort of thing that they want to work on, bouncing ideas around. We can work on financial planning and business management. Also, actually, I've been doing quite a few of these recently. We work on helping business owners get an MWBE, Minority or Women Business Enterprise certification through New York State. And one thing we may talk a little bit more about later is we do have a research network. It's a group of librarians down in Albany, and they can look up all sorts of market research data. So we a lot of times get census data for business plans, but we can, if you have a question and kind of want some information about it, our librarians can dig and find all sorts of interesting things, and they have access to a lot of databases. So that is a good area that we have. Finally, we can help with procurement. So if a business is looking to work with a state or federal government or even out of state, we have a bid matching service that we can hook them up with. And we can also kind of help guide them through that. So really anything a business owner needs As I mentioned, we are free and confidential. They can give us a call or shoot me an email. I included both over in the chat, and we can get you hooked up with our services. I'm at SUNY Canton. We do have another office out in Plattsburgh. We travel around throughout the North Country as well. And then we have offices throughout the state. So some of you might be closer to our Albany office and might end up working with them. And we have an office out in Syracuse. So we are throughout the state and can hook up with any business owner, usually within an hour of where they live. So that's just an overview. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. It's an impressive number of things available for free to our business owners. That's wonderful. Great. And then Stephanie, could you please tell everyone a little bit about the AEDC and what you offer? Stephanie, you're muted.
Muted myself. Actually, a lot of AEDC services are similar to Sbdc. So we do a lot of one-on-one counseling. We help people to write business plans. Anybody coming to us that's thinking of starting a business or has an idea that they want to run by people who know a lot about business, they can come and talk to us. We have a fall course that we offer each, usually September or October it starts, and that's a comprehensive course on business plan writing, and it lasts usually about 6 weeks. So people who have an idea can come in and do each week a part of their business plan so that they have a completed business plan by the end. We also do projections to go along with the business plan. A lot of people don't realize that to get any kind of funding, you will need a business plan, whether you're going to a bank or a private lender. So the business plan is, a pretty important thing. We also do MWBE certification assistance. We have a Business Mentor New York program that we help people sign up for, where they can be matched up with a business person who has expertise in the area that they need for their particular startup. And we also do assistance with grant applications, such as the Pandemic Small Business Recovery Grant. So people often contact us for assistance with those grant applications as well. And we serve 14 counties in Northern New York. So we have a vast area to cover. But again, we do our business counseling is free of charge. Anything that we do as far as that goes, our class generally is free of charge, or we have a sponsor for it. So that works out well. So we do meet with people one-on-one. We do have business counselors in different areas within New York State, so we can meet up with people and help them out one-on-one or in person or via the Zoom, internet, whatever.
Great. Thank you so much, Stephanie. And one thing you said really resonated with me, and I just wanted to pick that out for our clients here, is that you mentioned that many loans will require a business plan. And part of what we do at ANCA CPR is help our clients find funding resources, whether that is COVID recovery grants, whether that's small interest loans, that kind of thing. But just wanted to highlight for everyone on the call that you've now heard from two folks who can help you with business plans. And those are such an essential piece to moving forward with funding, and much easier to have that ready than try and write it in the midst of applying for that loan. So thank you, Stephanie.
Sure.
Great. And now I'll just ask our presenters to sort of speak to the process that they use to work with clients. Most people on this call are small business owners, so I don't need to tell you how limited your time and energy is. So I think it's really important for our clients to know exactly what they'll need to set aside and commit to get the most out of working with you all. So if we could, we'll just run through those services. Our presenters, if you have a workshop, maybe you could speak to how that workshop will help people move toward achieving the outputs that we spoke about with services. What if we started with Jennifer at this time? Jennifer, I know people that would like to work with the Sbdc, the first step is filling out the form online. For all of our clients, the Sbdc is a federal program, so unfortunately we have to go through that internet portal instead of making a neighborly introduction. But once people do that, Jennifer, what's the process for working with you all, and anything you'd like to talk about in those workshops coming up, please.
Yeah, so actually people can reach out directly to us. So when everything was remote, we had to have them fill out the form online, but we are back to working in person. So if somebody wants to just come by and fill out the form in person, it's just a federal form with name and information. It's not too bad. But yeah, if someone wants to set up an appointment, they can give us a call, send us an email. We can, as I mentioned, we can do that form in person or online. We have, as everyone else has, been transitioning to doing a lot of Zoom meetings. So if somebody doesn't have the time or isn't able to get out here, we can meet with you via Zoom. We can do phone calls and emails. A lot of the business plan work that I do, we kind of bounce the business plan back and forth over Google Docs or send a Word document back and forth. So we're pretty flexible with making sure that the business owner can work on things at their time. Also wanted to mention with Stephanie at AEDC, we frequently work with clients together. So we may be helping them with a business plan, then it goes to Stephanie and they have some questions. So we can kind of bounce that back and forth that way too. So it's definitely okay to work with both sets of people. Then you can get a fully developed business plan with multiple perspectives that way. So that's pretty good. But yeah, I did put my contact info up there. If they want to give us a call, they can. And if you are closer to one of our other centers, we can direct you to the correct center.
Excellent. Thank you, Jennifer. And Rob, I know when you and I spoke about the workshops coming up with you in May for our clients, you thought the best approach would really be to get a sense of where people are at and then shape the workshop work around that. Could you tell people a little bit more about what to expect in those workshops and how that would work toward participatory management goals?
Yeah, so the first workshop would be next Tuesday morning. For that workshop, it will really be introductory. What is participatory management, some examples, and really getting to know the business owners. And my hope is that the business owners come to it not just wanting to learn for themselves, but also to learn from each other. So I want to approach it as sort of a cohort of business owners who can be a peer support group, at least for the training program, if not perhaps into the future. So that first workshop would be a lot of me and each business owner learning about each other's, core challenges. What do you hope to achieve? Understanding the basic framework of participatory management. And then for the second and third workshops, I have recorded training modules that I would send to you. I can send them to the folks as soon as I know who you all are, and you can watch them in your own time. And that just gives you a good amount of content. I think each set is about 40 minutes. So that would just be some homework to do prior. The first one, the first set of modules would be on communication in the workplace, developing good communication systems, good communication habits. Systems don't work if people aren't in the habit of using them. So it would be that topic, covering a lot of things, feedback, giving good feedback. And then the second set would be on personnel policies, personnel management and personnel policies, with a focus on how to, what I refer to as lifting people up or filtering people out, building your team well, supporting those who are your best workers, making sure they stick around, making sure they have the support and training they need to feel supported and valued, but also how to filter out employees that need to move on, which surprisingly a lot of business owners have trouble with. So those are the three. That's the overview of the three classes.
Excellent. Thank you, Rob. Great. And then Stephanie, how would somebody begin the process of working with the AEDC? And perhaps a helpful thing to know, if somebody was coming to the AEDC to apply for a small business loan, what's the timeline for that, and how long should people plan to be working towards funding before they're able to get a decision on that application?
It depends. Mainly what holds up funding is the client getting everything together that they need as far as their paperwork goes and their business plan, their projections. So what they would do is they would approach, say myself or someone else at AEDC And if they need a business plan, if they don't have one, then they are going to need one with projections. So we would set them up with one of our counselors. So I would refer them to one of our counselors to work on their business plan and projections. And we also have a program called Lenderfit, which is software that we use, and the people go in there and fill out an intake form, and then it shows them the different forms that they would need to fill out in order to complete their loan application. And then after that, you know, it might be 4 to 6 weeks by the time we have a loan committee that the actual loan proposal goes to. And so they have their meetings monthly, and then there's a decision made after that based on what the loan committee decides.
Excellent, thank you. And Stephanie, I'll ask one quick follow-up question. I am not a business owner. I've never written a business plan, never done projections. What are projections? What does that look like on the piece of paper that you help people create for their business? And what is the purpose of it?
Basically, what you're doing is you're looking at what your expenses and income projected are going to be, because you're not in business yet. So you're looking at, you know, how much is my business insurance? What's my rent? You know, do I have employees? How much am I going to pay them? What's the payroll on them? You know, so you're going month to month, figuring out what your projected income and expenses are, and rolling that over month to month to show, you know, if you're going to be making a profit, how long it's going to take to make a profit, you know, that kind of thing. So it's basically, those are all your concrete figures that you're going to use to determine whether this is a good business or not.
Great. And it sounds like that might be useful to businesses already in operation as well, if they're looking for financing. Okay, got it. Great. Thank you, Stephanie.
Yeah, they'll have historical data as well to use, but yeah, definitely if they're going to expand or something, they need to do some new projections.
Excellent. Thank you. Great. And then Aviva, could you please tell us a bit more about the strategic planning process? Specifically, I know you said it's a group process within an organization. This workshop, the series of workshops you have coming up, would be for the business owners enrolled in our program. So if you could speak to how they would take what they learn back to their organization, that might be really helpful for people to know.
Sure. And also, so we have these workshops coming up through this program. Also, if you're interested in working with CITEC outside of, you know, or in addition to these workshops, we're easy to get a hold of, citec.org. And I did put my email address in the chat. Just to clarify, so we are doing these strategic planning workshops through this program, but we also, just a lot of people aren't really familiar with what CITEC Business Solutions is. It's a sort of vague in the world, but we are part of the manufacturing extension program partnership. It's a federal program, comes through the state, kind of like Sbdc. Every state in the union has manufacturing extension partnerships. So we work with a lot of manufacturers, but about 40% of our clients are other businesses, small businesses like you guys, retail, wholesale, warehousing, agriculture, municipalities, nonprofits, just about any kind of business or organization. And our focuses are generally around process improvement, so lean manufacturing, but also like how, if you're setting up a production system, how are you going to produce in a way that's really efficient? Or if you're adding new machinery or new tools to your line, or new lines to your products, how to make that, you know, fit into what you have in an efficient and cost-efficient way. Most of our impacts are bottom line impacts, cost savings, new sales, retained sales. So we do a lot of focus on those efficiency things, business development, marketing, human resources, kind of along the line of what Rob talked about, but also kind of your nuts and bolts, New York State compliance, those kinds of things. And we also do some leadership, as well as these executive services, like this strategic planning. These workshops coming up through this program, we will the first one is about creating a mission and vision statement. So if you don't already have those, creating those things so you can easily identify yourself to others and to yourself. Or if you do have them, kind of revisiting them, making sure that they still apply to your business as it is currently going. And the idea with that would be you will use those later through the process. The second workshop is a SWOT analysis. That's a classic strategic planning tool that helps you visualize your strengths, your weaknesses, and the opportunities and the threats to your business in a way that can help you focus your priorities. And so the third workshop will put those things to use depending on what your business is, where you are. You're going to have different uses for those tools. They can be used to help create your value proposition. So why should customers buy your products? What distinguishes you from your competitors? It will help you possibly align your annual budget with the activities that you're going to do this year or next year or in the short term. Or these plans, they're not forever. They're something that you revisit on maybe an annual basis or biannually or every 3 years or whenever you kind of come to a new milestone. So maybe you're a small business that's kind of moving from startup into production. This is a good time to revisit and evaluate these things and make sure that your business is staying on track. So that's what we'll be doing in the third workshop, is taking these tools and the work that you've done at that point, and then making sure that you use them in ways that you need to.
Excellent. Thank you, Aviva. And then my last question for you all, and then we'll get into some more specific targeted questions and take questions from our clients. I would say the number one question we get from our business owners we work with is, how has this benefited other businesses? And I think that's a very smart question. You want to know what the return is on your investment of time and energy to attending workshops, engaging in these processes, that kind of thing. So I'd love to hear from each of you, whether it's writing a business plan or taking the time to do projections to apply for a loan, or really putting a personnel policy down on paper, or carving out time for your entire organization to sit down for a strategic planning thing. What are the concrete benefits? How can this improve business operation? How can it improve business financials? And Stephanie, maybe we could start with you on this round.
Sure. A lot of people actually start a business without a business plan. A lot of people that we talk to that are currently in business, we ask them if they have a business plan and they're like, no. So the business plan pretty much comes up when someone needs to go and get funding or capital for their business. That's pretty much when they're going to start thinking about a business plan. That being said, if they've been in business a while, we would still encourage them to do a business plan, because it helps so much in terms of, your vision and who your customers are and the services that you offer, and, possibly, ways to expand those services and how that would affect revenue. All that is so important. And it leads to the ultimate success of the business, whether they're just starting out and they come to us and we help them do the business plan and they apply for a loan, they get the funding. Once they get the funding, they can buy the inventory, they can get the equipment they need, they can get up and running and, actually realize their dream of business ownership. So I think that's the most important thing as far as the business plan and the financials go.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And Aviva, we'll circle back to you. Concrete benefits of strategic planning for business owners.
Yeah, so everyone who does this exercise and every business who does this kind of exercise has some different deliverables that they're looking for. As I think I mentioned, you might take this information and create or reevaluate your value proposition. It helps you. It can also help you create impact statements or metrics, goals that you're wanting to accomplish. Once you see all this stuff on paper, you realize, okay, I want that. You can create very specific goals. They can help you kind of analyze or prioritize your budget. That's one thing one of the organizations in the Upper J Arts Center is going through a leadership change. So it's a really great time for them to evaluate themselves in this way. And they use these exercises to make sure that their budget was aligning with the resources that they had for the year, for the specific year, so they could prioritize their activities. So those are the kinds of things you can and should do with this kind of thing. The idea is to get your story inside straight so that you can it helps you tell your outside story better to communicate with your customers or your potential lenders or potential employees, that kind of thing.
Yes, absolutely. I love what you said about getting the inside story straight so you know the outside story you're sharing. And Rob, I'd love to connect that to what you all offer. Another really common thing that our businesses here in the North Country are dealing with is it's very difficult to find people right now to work, to stay. It's high cost of living, difficult to find housing, those kind of things. So how could going through these participatory management workshops help employers get benefits in terms of better hiring, better retention, better recruitment, that kind of thing?
Yeah, I think we all need to acknowledge that business owners are just so busy putting one foot in front of the other every day. And they're so busy working in the business that they forget to work on the business, to develop the business over time instead of just opening and closing and doing the books and all the day-to-day stuff. So that is what I think all of us here can offer you, is an opportunity to step outside that to the extent possible and do some work on the business, some work developing the business. For participatory management, I think putting the time into developing some systems, implementing some tools, developing some good habits broadly around participatory management can make the business run more smoothly, more efficiently, more profitably over time. Putting the time in now can save you time down the road. As I always, one of the key points I'm always trying to make is just that if you want to implement a decision, you're going to put time in on the front end or on the back end. You're either going to put time in consulting with people, getting feedback, getting input, making sure people understand the why of the decision, or you can say that takes too much time, I just need to move. And then you're going to put all the time in on the back end of implementing the decision, because you're going to have to twist arms, convince people, you're going to have naysayers, right? So part of it is just around that type of engagement. That's an example of how engagement can make the business operate more smoothly and more efficiently over time. Yes, you put in time on the front end, but once you put that time in on the front end, it makes implementing decisions, moving into new business opportunities, new markets, it makes it much easier to implement. You've got all the oars in the water, all rowing in the same direction. In terms of, I mentioned retention and attraction before. Again, I think if you think about it for just a second, it speaks for itself. If you have employees who feel valued, who enjoy their work, who respect you as a business owner and feel treated fairly, they're going to be your best recruiters of new employees, friends, family, colleagues, and so forth. So both on retention and attraction, good people skills, good people management, an environment where people feel supported and lifted up, and that offers training and advancement opportunities in a coherent, transparent way, they're going to stay. They're going to stay. As I like to say, people don't often leave bad jobs, they leave bad bosses. And so that is what we're trying to help people with, to be better bosses, better managers, better business owners, because they're the ones who are going to have the most loyal workforce and are going to do the best job bringing in new folks. Just on one other front, I'm embarrassed to say I forgot to mention it before when I was talking about some of the topics we're going to cover. I didn't mention open book management, which is a big piece of it as well. And that is something that business owners react kind of scared to at the outset. But the more you realize that if you teach your employees how the business makes money and where all that money goes, you're going to have employees who will dedicate themselves to helping the business make more money. and to find efficiencies. The wisdom of the group in terms of, say, efficiencies, process efficiencies, for example, or new product lines that customers are asking for. If your employees are not engaged, they're not going to tell you that every other customer asks if you've got X. But if you have a good system for engagement with employees, you're going to create feedback loops. They're going to constantly give you new ideas. Again, the wisdom of the group. A business owner cannot see everything going on at all times in all places. So build your team and get them engaged in helping build the business. And so open book management, again, helping employees understand how the business makes money and where all that money goes, will help them, will make them feel more engaged, make them feel more trusted, also as partners in that business, not just workers who may feel expendable. So I think the open book management piece, which I neglected to mention earlier, is a really important tool in that as well. Absolutely.
And I know ANCA practices some open book management, which was new to me when I got my job here, and it's been a really engaging and rewarding part of it. So yeah, I encourage people to ask Rob for more information about that as well. And one thing you said, Rob, I was like, man, I got to put that on a magnet for our office fridge is, but small business owners, you are so busy doing the business that it's hard to make time to work on the business. And I thought that would be a great piece for Jennifer to speak to as well. What are the benefits to working on the business through some of the services that the Sbdc offers?
Yeah, I actually noted that when he was talking. That's a lot of what we do. Well, with the business plan, as you guys mentioned, it can go into getting funding, which is a big benefit. But I found that even business owners that have been in business a long time haven't really sometimes sat down and looked at things. Two specific parts of the business plan I find that are very helpful to people are when we do a market analysis. I think a lot of business owners are just marketing. They're either doing what they've done before or they're just kind of throwing stuff out there. We can really help them really drill down on who their target clients are, who they need to be reaching, and how to reach those people through different strands of marketing. So that is something that's been very useful for clients who have been in business for a long time. Another piece of it, we can help them with pricing. So we can look at how your tax records right now, your pricing right now, how it's working for you. If it's not working very well, how can we make changes? So we do a lot of that work with the business owners to kind of help them streamline things, help them look. A lot of times people just, they do their tax at the end of the year and they move on. We're going to sit down and help you look through them and kind of go through what everything means and things that are maybe higher than they should be. We can take a look at maybe some ways that you can change that to run your business a little bit better. So there's a lot of data that your business has that sometimes you don't have time to sit and look at, but part of the business planning process will help you with an advisor, look through that and see kind of what might be some areas you can change or what might be some areas you can grow your business that you haven't even really thought of. So figuring out some time for that. And as I said, we can work with clients on their schedules and do things through whatever time works for them.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Jennifer. It's about 10:12, so we have 18 minutes left. And thank you all again for making time to be with us here. We'd love to hear some of your questions for our experts. Feel free to put those in the chat and we will read them out. I loved looking through the chat and seeing a paperboy, golf caddy, gas station attendant, waitress. I remember doing those jobs and you always have so many ideas about how to do the business better or what you could do for business. So I think it's incredible that all of you have gotten to that point of making your own business. So we do have a question from Stephen. He'd like to know if anyone here offers infrastructure planning support. He understands this would take place after a strategic and business plan. They are, so I'll give you a little background on Stephen. He says they feel like they've been trying to fit round pegs into square holes, trying to fit our business goals into existing infrastructure. So wondering if anyone offers support in this realm. Stephen, I think if I remember correctly, you're Lucky 7 Livestock, and that is definitely a question I've heard from quite a few farmers we work with, infrastructure planning support. Yes, thank you, Stephen. I apologize. North Country Creamery. I think there's another Stephen at Lucky 7. But I know in speaking to some of our farmers, again, very specialized skill. I certainly appreciate all the things they do. I eat North Country Creamery yogurt every morning. Highly recommend it. It's delicious. And then trying to figure out how to plan as that business grows, as you identify new customer markets, that kind of thing. Do any of our experts offer infrastructure planning support, and what would that look like? Feel free to unmute and jump in if that's your area of expertise.
So we're talking like water, waste removal, that kind of stuff, or can you be more specific? Electric?
I'll find Stephen in our participants list, and I think I found him. And Stephen, if you want to unmute and say a little more.
Hey folks, this is Ashley, his partner, but same deal. Infrastructure is thing anyways, but yes, so we were really fortunate to have like a lot of barns here and a lot of great infrastructure, but our business has morphed into really different ways than what the previous owner did here. We're milking in a different area. We do different things in our creamery. We're installing solar panels. We want to recover our wastewater, so we need these big recovery tanks. There's just a lot of pieces of the old barn that aren't well utilized, and we're thinking, oh, should we just build new buildings, or where can we put all these utility items and tanks and buffer tanks? So let me know if that's kind of filling in the gaps for my question.
Yeah, so we do have process engineers on our staff that can take a look at that stuff. Yeah, absolutely.
Great.
That they can do evaluation of if you have, plans and goals where you want to get, they can help you sort of figure out how to move towards that. That would probably end up using some, additional resources, maybe from SBDC or ADC, as far as, we're not experts as far as finding the funding or that kind of stuff. But as far as, process engineering and buildings and that kind of stuff, we do have that kind of expertise on our staff.
Yeah, I would piggyback onto what Aviva said. That's what I would have done with that client, is refer them out to CITEC to figure out what the plan's going to be. And then once you know what your plan's going to be and what funding you need, you can pop back over to us and we can help you figure out what source of funding might be best. Like there's some USDA programs out there. There's some local programs with each town and village. So then I think that's something we could work together on to help out.
Thank you so much for the question, Ashley, and thank you, Aviva and Jennifer. And Carol had a great suggestion for you, Ashley, as well in the chat. She pointed out that you may want to talk to Cooperative Extension and New York Farm Bureau if you're not already in touch with them. Great. And yeah, if anyone else has questions, please just put them right there in the chat and we will get them to our experts. Rob, yes, Rob, great question. Does New York have a manufacturing extension partnership? Looks like Aviva knows the answer.
Yeah, so CITEC is the North Country's New York MEP Center, New York State. So we just cover the northern 7 counties. And if there are folks on this call farther south, every county in New York State has a manufacturing extension partnership center. And also there's a statewide version as well. They're called Fuse Hub, and they can connect you with your local MEP. So that is us.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Aviva. Jennifer, I did have one question for you. And again, if people have questions, put them in the chat and we'll get them to the experts. Jennifer, you mentioned minority and women business enterprise certification. That's something we've had conversations with clients about. Who is that right for? Who would you, I know it can be a long process. So who would you recommend make that investment? What's the service, the product, the type of business that really benefits from that?
Well, first off, any construction business will definitely benefit from that. It's really, and that's the kind of the go-to that you think about, but there are several other kinds of businesses. Basically, anyone that works with an agency or works for an agency who gets federal or state funding and when an agency gets the state funding, they sometimes are gold to get 30, it's usually 30% of their work from an MWBE. So it might be something as simple as, like, I know someone who was doing trainings that the schools wanted to hire her for. So she set up as an MWBE so that the schools could work through her to get that requirement. So basically, if you're working for subcontracting for a company, go ask them, say, you know, if I was an MWBE, would that help this process go smoother, or is there more work that you could provide? And if they say yes, that's a great time to be able to work with us. They actually streamline the application somewhat, so it's not as hard as it used to be. And we can help you figure out what you need to do to be able to apply, and we can help you with that application. There is a long wait time, but we have some strategies to kind of help you hopefully get through that. So that is something we can help out with.
Great. Thank you so much, Jennifer. Yeah, such a valuable certification and a daunting process. So I'm so glad to have you here to explain that to people and let them know that the SBDC can support them with that the entire way. Great. So, oh, and yes, Brooke, I spoke to Brooke yesterday. She submitted her MWBE application. Congratulations. I remember you telling me how big that was going to be, Brooke. So great work. And Brooke had a question. She says, I have a retail business, and she had been asked by schools and rec programs to get that MWBE. So she has a retail business. She's considering a different ownership model to increase capital and human capacity. I'm wondering what the first steps are to consider this. Would anyone like to take that question? And Brooke, I will unmute you in case you would like to say more.
Yeah, it was just pretty much what I typed, but just my business is on the side of my full-time job. So I think it has potential, but definitely needs a bit more capital, and I have accessed a lot of grants and opportunities. So I think it's more kind of private capital, as well as more owners, more people kind of invested in the day-to-day and different aspects of managing and running the business to really get it to where it needs to be. And I've had some conversations with friends and customers who might be interested. And so I'm just wondering what the next possible steps are to understand those options better.
I'm not sure the details of what you're thinking, but I would just, the work that Cooperative Development Institute does broadly is helping cooperatives develop, consumer cooperatives, producer cooperatives, worker cooperatives. And particularly the work that I do is oftentimes working with existing businesses, as I said at the outset. So, right now I'm working with a few different, both happen to be hardware stores, on transitions to a consumer cooperative, a community-owned model. The core work, 99% of what I do is helping employees form worker cooperatives to buy out a business. And sometimes that is, most of the time that is because a business owner is like planning their retirement, their exit. But a good number of clients that we have, I'd say at least a third, maybe 40%, aren't that. They're mid-stage entrepreneurs, and they're looking to grow their business in a more sustainable way. And they're not leaving the business. They just want to change the ownership model to vest their employees with an ownership stake through a transition to a worker cooperative. So if that is of interest, that is something that we do.
Great. Thank you, Brooke. Thank you, Rob. And anyone else want to chime in on Brooke's question there? All right. Alice had a quick question. Jennifer, in terms of MWBE, do you know of a website where you can see what state and federal contracting jobs are out there?
Yeah, so I mentioned we have a contracting setup. It's called BidLinks, where they can enter keywords and it'll search through all the contracting things out there to find matches for their keywords to show them it's there. If they're looking just for New York State, the New York State Contract Reporter will show you what options are out there. So that client is welcome to get in touch with me. I would probably also connect them to PTAC, the procurement, I can't remember what it stands for, but they help with procurement and connecting them with everybody. They have their own bid matching service as well. So it can be good to work with both of us to see a couple different bid matching service. You might pull different things with different keywords and just to see what's out there. And that might be a good first step to see before you want to do your MWB application. Excellent.
Thank you, Jennifer. And we also had a question from Norlia at Four Maples Vineyard and Winery. They are looking at a new solar project for the winery. Is that something, thinking maybe CITEC, Sbdc, is that something that you help with in terms of planning, infrastructure, that kind of thing? And Norlia, I'll let you unmute in case you want to ask some more questions. Just give me one sec.
We have a new winery that we are building, and it's going to finish soon. And we would like to embark into the solar system for our winery in order to lower our operating cost for electricity, because we will run chillers and machines. So we have been trying to look at other places, but it's all of them offers, but it's like big projects that goes down to the systems that's like NICEC or whoever, that it will kind of like piggyback on that system. So we were wondering if there is anything that would be able to, if any agencies out there that can help us with this project, because we are trying also to go into a sustainability program by the New York State for wineries. So this is one of our goal, is to have a self-sufficient winery in terms of energy, because it takes a lot to heat and to cool down the place. So we are actually actively looking, but it's always comes to a dead end. So our winery will be finishing soon, and we would really like to have this solar or wind energy running. We have lots of wind here, and is there anything that any agencies could help us with?
I'm not sure if any of our engineers that we work with have that expertise, but I am certainly going to check, and I'll get back to you through Olivia.
Thank you so much.
Where are you located?
We are in Champlain, upstate New York. Okay. We are quite near to the border of Canada, USA. Perfect. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
we saw there's a lot of solar farms around, but it's big projects that goes, tie back with
grid connected.
Yes, correct. So I mean, that's not our main objective. We want to be self-sufficient. That's our main thing for now. We want to lower our costs and be self-sufficient in terms of energy. So whatever balance, probably yes, we can go back to the main grid, but for now we need that energy for our farm.
Yeah, I will look into that. And
thank you so much. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Norlia, for the question, and thank you, Aviva, for finding some more information there. And Norlia, I'll certainly check in with ANCA's clean energy team to make sure that we've looked everywhere that we can for you to support you with that project. And if anyone else has green energy questions, please let us know. Our clean energy team can help with all of that as well. And it's 10:29, so I want to thank everyone for joining us today, sharing an hour of your time. Thank you so much to our experts, Aviva with CITEC Business Solutions, Jennifer with the Small Business Development Center, Rob with the Cooperative Development Institute, and Stephanie with the Adirondack Economic Development Corporation. Really appreciate all your time, all your knowledge, and all of our clients, please let us know what we can do you should have received that flyer with all the information about workshops coming up. We'll be sending that out again today to help you figure out how you'd like to work with these folks. You'll also be receiving tomorrow morning a recording of this event, a feedback survey. We'd love to hear from you on how we can make future events even more effective for you and your business. And yes, if you have any questions, always reach out to me. I'm Olivia Dwyer, ODWYER at Adirondack.org. And thanks again, really appreciating everyone making time to be here. Have a great day.